I'm never gonna have a baby, and it's the most beautiful thing that could have ever happened to me. Hi, hey, hello. My name is Xenia, but everyone calls me Foxy because it's just easier. Before we dive into this video, I just want to say that this is not an argument, and I'm just sharing my experience to help fellow women in my age group that are considering to get the same procedure done, because I didn't see any videos or information about anyone getting it done young. Don't mind if I look to the side time to time constantly. I will be just looking at my notes that I did for this video to make sure I don't forget anything, and also to the questions you've left on my Instagram, which, by the way, feel free to follow that if you want to. I love having you guys there, and when I record videos where you guys can interact with this content, I always leave polls on there and shit like that. That's what I'm trying to say, Jesus Christ. Don't mind this serious video, this is not my usual type of content, but we will be back to the usual fun gameplay, crafting, and everything else, vlogging, as soon as I get this video out of the way, because I'm gonna talk about a lot of things that I feel like is so important to raise awareness about. So, yeah, let's get into it. I'm a little bit nervous. So, I feel like the first bit of the video should be about like why I did it. First, when I started being sexually active, I feel like I started at around 16 years old, something like that. No, earlier, but I started first with like condoms and everything like everyone else. Eventually later, like one of my boyfriends at the time, ex-boyfriends at the time, suggested I tried a pill. And back then, at that time, like those copper IUDs for women that haven't been pregnant yet weren't exactly created. They weren't small enough for a uterus that hasn't bared a child yet. So back then that just wasn't a thing to get a copper IUD, any kind of IUD, if you weren't pregnant yet. At least I was told so at that age. And I had no idea about side effects of hormonal hormonal birth control back then. So I got on the pill without like my mother's knowledge and everything, because I was terrified of my mom. If you are a frequent viewer of this channel, you probably know why already. At least a little bit, have a bit of context, but whatever. When I started taking the pill, I was on the lightest dose you can take, and also I smoked. So I took the mini pill, I think it's called, because there's another type of birth control where it's like 2 pills a day, and the mini pill is like 1 pill a day. So I was on the mini pill. And I immediately, the first week I started taking it, I started having panic attacks immediately the moment I started taking it. I started having such a bad panic attacks that I felt like I was going insane. I could not form a thought. There was only panic in me. I only thought about the worst. I couldn't focus because I was scared all the time. And the thing is, when you have, sadly like me, issues with anxiety and depression, taking hormonal birth control may trigger those symptoms, yeah. And that is one thing I wish someone educated me about, but no one did. So I had to suffer the consequences. I stopped the pill. My ex-boyfriend at the time chucked them in the trash. That is the only smart thing that boy has ever done. And then I got on the copper IUD. When I got on the copper IUD, I was already with my current partner. Everything was great for a couple of years. It stayed in place. My period pains were the same. I always had excruciating periods. So I don't know why I'm laughing, it's not funny. Honestly, being on the copper IUD or off the copper IUD didn't do much differences. And every time I went to the doctors about my period pain, they always told me, oh, it's normal. And I told them, no, I had those pains before I even was on the copper IUD. And they were like, it's still normal to be in excruciating pain and barely function on your period. But okay. And one day, I don't know why, I don't know how, I just started rejecting. So a year ago, exactly a year ago, in February, I got my first appointment with a doctor that finally took me seriously. She was like, hey, you're rejecting your copper IUDs, they're in your cervix. Before you ask me, how did you not feel that? I don't know. Even the doctor was surprised. I did not fucking feel it. I didn't know it was in my cervix. I wasn't in pain. I just had like dull pains and during my period, and something felt off. That was the reason why I went there. She later explains to me that a lot of women, and science doesn't know why, of course. There's a lot of women that just reject those copper IUDs and no one knows why, but it's normal. And I don't know how and why, but for 5 years it worked, and suddenly I was one of those women that could not even handle a copper IUD. That news was devastating to me, because my first thought was, I'm 26, they're never gonna let me tie my tubes. I knew that hormonal birth control made me feel miserable. That was the most horrible news of my life at the time. So after we tried 4 times, 4 months later, 4 copper IUDs later rejected, she was like, you need to try something else. I break down in her office and I tell her, I want my tubes tied. I don't want kids. I never wanted kids. I want my tubes tied. I can't handle hormonal birth control. She knew that. I can't do anything with hormonal birth control. I need my tubes tied. And she tells me, for me, it's okay. So the first tip I'm gonna give you is you can go to family planning. Luxembourg, we call it planning familial, which is literally the same thing, but just in French. And you gotta ask for a gynecologist appointment there. And usually through your gynecologist, they're gonna send a paper to surgeons they know that explaining your case, why you want to get your tubes tied, your age, your weight, etc, etc, and then a doctor hopefully will get back to you. So she sent my paper to 3 surgeons and only 1 got back to me. And she told me, because I have this beautiful silly thing called tokophobia. There's 2 types of tokophobia. The first type being if you never were pregnant. That you are definitely afraid of pregnancy or anything developing in you. And the second type, you are just pregnant, but you are afraid of childbirth, like when it's gonna come and everything. But when you never were pregnant, it can turn into a psychosis and it can like pretty much control your life, which was what was happening to me all those years also. And it's something that's actually really hard to talk about, so bear with me while I try to talk about it. She tells me that my tokophobia is of great concern to her, and although she knows that I can't handle birth control very well, she had this hypothesis that because the mini pill is mostly estrogen, that if I would take progesterone, it would maybe not cause the same symptoms, or at least at a much slower or lower rate that it would be manageable. So I got on the hormonal implant. It's gone now. Thank God. This is still healing from them taking it out of me during the surgery. So that's why you see the dot. Usually when it's healed, you don't really see it. Tokophobia played a big role into my decision personally, because it was like, that fear is like an obsession. It will control your life, it will control your feelings, it will control everything you believe. I used to spend around 20 to 30 euros a month on pregnancy tests because I was terrified from getting pregnant. I thought it was so bad. I'm sorry. It was so bad to the point that, oh my God, I don't want to cry on the in front of the camera on the internet, that I thought that if I ever got pregnant, not even an abortion would save me. I would feel broken. The only option for me would be suicide. Now, I am in therapy. Trigger warning, I am in therapy. I am talking through those fears and those feelings, so I don't want people to get pointlessly worried for me. I am okay. And that fear came from my mother. While growing up, she treated pregnancy like a punishment. She told me that if I ever got pregnant, she will never let me abort. And imagine telling that a 14-year-old, by the way, or like a 13-year-old, barely starting puberty, barely getting curious about sexuality and contraception and how to have sex responsibly. She told me that if I were to get pregnant, I wouldn't even have the choice to abort, and she would not take care of the baby. So she would tell me that I would need to drop out of school and take care of the baby, and if I drop out of school, no one will want a dumb young girl that had a baby without an education. And it was so stupid because it felt like my whole life, everyone around me decided that you are gonna have a baby and you are gonna be a mother. But I don't want to be a mother. I want to be a traveler. I want to become a teacher. I want other things than having a baby. And the fact that this was so pressured into me fed into that fear and just made me want it less and less. My whole life, I never wanted a baby. And when like my mom used the excuses of, oh, you play with baby dolls so much, you probably really want to be a mother, you have great maternal instinct, I was like, no, I just like the dolls. That is nothing close to a real baby. My God. Sorry for that little rant. Literally, I remember before I knew that human sterilization is a thing as a kid, I would look at cats and dogs that would get it done and I would think, you are so lucky, you never have to think about becoming a parent in your life. So for people that are like, you'll change your mind later, I don't know if a kid that's been fantasizing about sterilization since she was 7 years old would really change her mind later on. The approval, I pretty much got a paper with an appointment immediately. And I went to the appointment and I was like, hey, yo, I need to get this done because of that and that and that. I listed the same reasons as my psychologist, like that I've discussed with my psychologist. And because I brought mental health into the whole mix, the only type of resistance I got was that they asked for a paper. I think it was more to protect their own asses than anything against me. They asked for a paper from my psychologist that cites that I am mentally stable and well to take this decision and that this has been already discussed in therapy, which it has been. And because I brought it up, she only asked because I brought up tokophobia. Sorry. From the first consultation to the surgery, it took about a year. But it took me a year because I also had a bit of issues with my health insurance. Thanks, Mom. I needed to get that sorted, so I did. Then we started rolling out the big guns. So maybe if you are, I'm talking mostly for like Luxembourgish folks, like if you do have like your health insurance up and running and everything is normal, it should not take as long. The only thing is like the surgery is for free if you are covered by the National Health Fund, so the CNS. If you are covered by it, it will be for free. Since April 2023, I believe there is a new law that any sterilization surgeries, including vasectomy, is completely free of charge. You do not have to pay anything, nothing, you're good to go. The only downside is from the moment you sign the consent forms, the CNS wants you to wait 14 weeks for reflection. I know! Like you would think that if you want the surgery, you would have already done the reflection prior the surgery, but no! The key steps were kind of done for me. That's the nice thing about like in Luxembourg, everything is attached together, like the whole bureaucratic part of it. Basically, all I had to do is go to the planning, go to the doctors, figure out my health insurance in brackets, sign consent forms, wait 14 weeks, surgery date, bam. And I had to do the anesthesiologist 2 weeks before the surgery. I think it depends on the surgeon. Some people want 2 weeks before, some people want a week before, some people want 15 months before. And yeah. So the surgery experience was crazy. That was such a fun day. I was terrified of going under, and if you are, by the way, don't be scared. And if you are afraid of the pain, it's not even half the pain you imagine. I was actually surprised, even when the anesthetics wore off, how little in pain I was. It felt like I had started my period and I had a ab workout the day before. Just, I know it sounds so harsh, but I promise, like, if you're a woman and if you're watching this, you'll be like, oh, okay. You will feel sore here, and you will feel sore on absolutely on the incision sites. And if you're scared of anesthesia, my God, I had so much fear for the most, like, underwhelming thing ever. Like, I can't describe it. Like, some people say it feels like a nap, some people say it feels like a blink. It kind of feels like both. I had to walk from my room to the surgery room by myself. I sat on the surgery table by myself. I was so scared. I was shaking so hard, but the doctors made me feel really comfortable and they did not make me feel judged for it, which is a beautiful thing, and I'm beyond grateful. I got such a nice doctors. They really had a good vibe also at the surgery room. They kept cracking jokes and making me feel okay, and if I would like have a small freak out of fear and then I would apologize, they would be like, oh no, don't worry, like there's worse. They were lovely. I took a few clips of my recovery, clips of like the first few days or where it was the most significant of how I was feeling, so I guess I'll show this now. We're still in the hospital swag right now, but this is day 1. I woke up like a few hours ago, and honestly, waking up was so chill. I never had surgery before in my life, so it was my first time going fully under. I didn't feel nausea, I didn't feel any of the bad things. I was just thirsty and so fucking hungry immediately when I woke up. I wasn't feeling high, whoopy. The pain is totally okay to me. Everyone is different with pain. About an hour, 30 minutes, I'm gonna go home and I'm gonna relax. Pain is okay, it's just really getting up that hurts. Laughing hurts. They took out my implant and I am so happy. The only complaint I have is the gas pain. It's really weird, it's really specific. It feels like kind of if you pulled a muscle, if you slept like badly, but it like kind of travels across your body. Like one moment it's here and then one moment it's right under your ribs. Everything is bearable. I feel well rested. I feel fantastic. Honestly, if I didn't know I had surgery right now, I feel like I could run a marathon. I'm so well rested. This is the best nap of my life. And yeah, and also it feels like I had an ab workout. So today is day 2. It's the morning of it. I feel a little bit more tired, but I think it's because it was the first night I had to sleep ever with stitches or incision pain. But otherwise I feel really okay. The only weird thing is that I feel like my abs are tense all the time, although I'm not tensing them, but I found out that's like normal. That's like your body protecting you while you're healing. Everything feels fine. I don't even have any pelvic floor pain anymore. It's really the incisions in my stomach. I always was a bit more pain tolerant, so for me this is really okay. Sure, I'm uncomfortable, but I'm not in the most horrid pain ever. However, I can like only walk really slowly and stuff like that, and bruising has started. I don't know if y'all want to see that. Today the throat pain from the tube is kind of annoying. Like, it's not that bad, but it's just annoying. Because while I was in surgery, I don't know if I said that in the previous part, they had to put a tube down to my lungs because the anesthesia I was on is the type that like kind of relaxes your muscles so much they're scared that it would obstruct your airway. I'm not sure if I'm explaining this well. If someone else can explain it better, in the comments, please do. Today is day 5 of recovery. I skipped a day because yesterday I genuinely felt on day 4 yesterday I genuinely felt super fucking tired. I felt like I couldn't stay awake for the love of God. I guess I was just busy recovering. All pain is now external around my stitches or in the layers of skin and muscle. If I talk quietly, it's because it feels like I can't raise my voice too hard. I feel really fine. I really do, and I'm actually weirded out about how good I feel because like, did they even do anything? At the same time, my pain tolerance is really good, always has been. Since I got off birth control, you might have noticed that well, at least I do, I've swelled down around the face, my neck, and my whole body overall. My boobs are gone. The arm doesn't hurt that bad, honestly. I'm surprised because inserting it was. And I'm so happy that they did that shit, removed it while I was under anesthesia, because I don't think I would have ever had the balls to do the extraction awake. Because usually you do it awake, yeah. But today I feel fine. Everything feels pretty stable. I feel like I can sit up and move a little bit more. Swelling has gone down a lot more. And yeah, what surprised me is how fast my body was recovering. It's absolutely overwhelming. Nothing internally was too painful. The most pain I felt was the incisions and the soreness, but that goes away pretty quickly if you stay very hydrated, which I was. I don't know why, but when I woke up from surgery, I ate the whole damn tray they brought me. I drank so much water. I kept eating and eating after surgery and drinking water. I guess that's normal because my body was recovering, but it was honestly awesome. I feel very fortunate. I will explain a little bit how the surgery was done so you guys have an idea. And I will show you what the procedure looked like without being graphic. So if you are squeamish, look away. It's not graphic, but I know some people are squeamish about scars. I'm gonna show you my incisions if you are curious, because everyone is, honestly, so it's okay to cure anyone's curiosity. But if you are squeamish, look away. I will tell you when you can look back. So now that the squeamish people have looked away, so those are like lines from my pants. But here you can see the first incision. This one still, even now a month later, feels quite sore because that's from where they will stick the camera in and work through like laparoscopic surgery. And that's from where they took out pieces of me, which I will explain why, because it depends on the type of the surgery. Here on my hips is one incision from where they stuck one tool into me. Oh shit, you can't even see here. And there is another one right here where they worked also. That one also feels harsher. I believe they swapped tools on this one. That's therefore why. And they also used a tool through my vagina. Squeamish people, you can look back. I am putting my pants back on. Give me a sec. So I have this picture. This is actually a picture from my vision board. I saw it on Pinterest and I loved it so much. So without reflecting the light too much, this is basically what they did to me. So there's the uterus, and see where there's the little axis? The surgery I got is a very modernized version of a tubal ligation. So the healing process is easier, there's less risks, etc, etc. It's a partial sapling to me? Salpingectomy. Okay, so it's a partial that. So they take out small pieces of your tubes to make sure that they cannot fuse again together, because your body will always try to go back to how it was before and to the places they are, where your ovaries always were. So therefore, because your ovaries want to go back where they always sat, because they do move around things a little bit while they do surgery on you, they will cutting out a small piece and taking it out. Not only they can check if you are at risk of cancer, if you are healthy, and confirm that it is a piece of your fallopian tube. But this way, when the ovary wants to sit back to where it is, there is no more connection. On one side, they cauterize it, and I think they even tie it to encourage it to stay closed. And so therefore, they took out those two pieces through my belly button, and they sent it to the lab. I couldn't keep it. I'm weird. I kept my wisdom teeth. I know it's maybe not such a big deal, but I kept my wisdom teeth. So I am that weird bitch. If I would lose my arm, I would ask to keep my arm, okay? I don't know. But there you go. It's kind of crazy that this was in my vision board, because this is exactly an illustration of the procedure they did. So it is a partial salpingectomy, because they do not take out the full fallopian tube, but just a piece to make sure that it is okay. Maybe just a tiny bit more than on the picture. But yeah, you guys left me some questions on Instagram, so I'm gonna quickly answer them. Were people supportive? Yes and no. I had people being supportive, you know? They were like, as long as it makes you happy. Shit like that. And I honestly couldn't stand it, but I wasn't gonna fight people that just don't get it, you know? How did you have to prepare for the operation? So I had to actually, if you're a smoker, stop smoking and eating 8 hours before the surgery. I no longer smoke, so that wasn't a problem for me. And I could only have my last sip of water 2 hours before the procedure, because you need to be empty for the surgery. Oh, and I needed to shower before, and I needed to shave my punani. How's recovery going? Recovery was so chill, bro. Like, okay, I was a little bit in pain and shit, and sometimes it was so hard to move, My only advice to you is to get like a really comfortable loose pair of pants, because I wear everything high-waisted on me because I feel like low-waisted just does not look good on me. Trust me, I've tried it. It just does not eat. But also I don't really want to have my tummy exposed during recovery, so I wanted to have it covered. And basically my only advice is get something that has a really loose elastic, because that belly button will be so sore. For the 3 first days, I could not wear anything tighter. After 3 days, I could. It kind of hurted to get undressed and dressed all the time. I couldn't lean over because of that. And and also you cannot lift anything above 5 kilos while recovering. So that's a thing as well. But like with the pants, after 3 days, it like kind of hurted to like get dressed. But as soon as everything was in place, it was okay. And as long as I didn't move too much. Is there an age requirement? No, but it's really hard to get it done when you're young. I feel very privileged of my experience. I know in a lot of countries and a lot of doctors wouldn't accept the same mentality, let's say. So I feel very privileged that my experience went as smooth as possible. I'm proud about your own choice and happy to see that you are well. Oh, I forgot to mention, also with Implanon, my symptoms did get worse at some point, like the birth control. I felt like I could not form a thought, I could not think, I could not, my personality was gone. I was a shell of a person, and that's the craziest thing that has ever happened to me. I am so glad I never have to do birth control again. But thank you so much. Did it cost or was it covered? As I said, 100%. Yes, 100%. Even the hospitalization bill, everything was covered by the CNS. And that was it from the Instagram questions. Honestly feel so much more relieved that I've done it. It's life-changing in the most positive way. Being off of birth control, I feel like I got my personality back. I feel so much stronger in a way. And honestly, being on birth control has been the scariest fucking thing ever to me, because I never in my life got depressed for no fucking reason like that. That birth control was, it genuinely, when I was on Implanon, it genuinely felt like I could not feel happiness. I felt only misery, 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 and misery, anxiety, 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 and every day felt like I was gonna die. So I don't have the words to describe what I was going through. I wasn't able to be creative. I wasn't able to think. And imagine writing a fucking bachelor's during all that. It was the hardest thing of my life. I am so grateful for every doctor that listened to me, because it is so rare. I do not have any regrets. The only regret I have is being so afraid. I was genuinely afraid of fucking nothing. I think this was one of the best decisions I've done ever in my life, and I hope that this video can help others. I do encourage you to check out my social media, and I'm sorry for the serious video. We will go back to the very fun content very soon. I am now back, stitches are out. Anyways, I love you all so much, and I will see you in the next video very soon. Bye!